There's a million little tricks for a better snare sound. A big fat snare drum, cutting an old head out, tape, a wallet, detuning one lug, cranking the bottom, you get it. But what I got for you today requires nothing, not even a drum key. So here it is. My one trick for a better snare sound: don't hit the middle of the head. So you might be thinking, how does this make sense? This is a circular object. Why would I not want to hit the middle of it? Now, before I explain it, let me just show you so you can hear it. So here's the center of the head. Here's off center. So that's a pretty big difference in my opinion. Hitting in the center, it's a way thinner sound. Hitting off center, it's a way fuller sound. Let me do it one more time. Here's the center. And here's off center. So before I tell you where off center you want to be, let's first talk about why this is happening. The reason is because if you're hitting rim shots, which 98% of the time you probably should and are, the sound of the snare is going to be more dependent on the drumstick than it is where you strike the drum. And more specifically, it's where on the stick is the rim hitting when you hit the rim shot. So let me show you what I mean by that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the stick right here, right? So you can see the stick is contacting the rim at this point, and I'm just going to move the stick up and listen to how the sound changes. So even though I got pretty far up the drum and pretty close to the rim at some points, it really didn't have a bad sound even though I was so close to the rim still. And this is something that you can hear even when we click the drumsticks together. Each different position gives a different tone, and it's kind of silly to think of the drumstick as an instrument, but when you're doing cross sticks, right, I think we all know that there's a certain place, depending on what kind of sticks you play, where that cross stick is going to sound the best. It's the same thing when you're doing a rim shot. So where should you hit the drum? That's really the big question. And it really depends on your drumstick and the angle that you're coming from. But in my opinion, if you're hitting with your left hand, the best sound is going to come when you're up and to the right of center. You might be able to barely see, but right about here is where I have the most wear on this particular drum head. And this is a 13-inch snare drum. I chose a 13-inch snare drum specifically for this to kind of drive home the point that even though I'm relatively close to the rim as far as where I'm hitting, off center, it still doesn't have a negative effect on the sound. So hopefully I gave you something new to think about today. If you're somebody that hits a lot of rim shots, try messing around with where you're hitting the rim on the stick and see if maybe you can't get a different sound than what you've been getting. But if you watched this video and you thought, hey, that was a pretty cool tip, I want to see more tips, then watch this video and or this video. If you watch this and you thought, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, and I'm only going to give this guy one more chance before I never watch any of his videos again, then also watch this video or that video. Or if you're going to give me two chances, then watch both.